Good morning, I'm Ferdi Salvador. Welcome to Industry Beacon, where we shine a light on the trailblazers, the disruptors, and the leaders shaping our future. And in each episode, we'll explore how they're staying ahead in their fields, one industry at a time. The wine and fine dining scene here in the Philippines. While the country's food traditions are deeply rooted in local flavors, the fusion of international influences and techniques has paved the way for a sophisticated dining scene. And wine plays a big role in elevating the gastronomic experience. Let's take a quick look at the unique intersection of fine dining and wild culture in the country. With our guest today, JC Cailles Lo, the co-founder of JC Wines and founder of Fine Dining Club Philippines. JC, good morning.
Good morning, Ferdi. It's so nice to be here.
Thank you so much for making time for us.
Of course.
So tell us, JC, how did you start in the industry?
Okay, because I'm a foodie, that's how I started. I like fine dining, I like elevated experiences, and with wine, because of course, as you said, it enhances the dining experiences. Not many people try that, but once you've tried that, you will never go back. Like if you pair like even as simple as your adobo with a right red wine, it will really make a lot of difference.
But how did you start? I mean, I know you're a foodie, but how did you start
So
JC
I started
Wines?
because I was approached by an importer to help him distribute more, especially in the pandemic, to reach more communities because the hotels and the restaurants are all closed during the time. So we need business. And that's an alternative channel to go to each one, to the subdivisions, and to cater more to the end consumers.
Yes, so you're one of the top distributors in the Philippines, especially Metro Manila. Did the pandemic push you to be in that position?
Right, yes. And especially now, I'm proud to say that with JC Wines, we're the only one who's, I think, left for the IG and Facebook selling of wines.
Wow.
So we're the ones doing it now because we like to engage more with our customers. And a lot of our customers are novices, so we want to educate them, we want to chat with them.
Right.
In terms of wine pairing suggestions.
Let's go backtrack a little bit because obviously, you know, based on my experience, you know, Filipinos are getting a little bit more sophisticated when it comes to their wine experience and their wine journey. What are the trends now?
Okay, I think one big factor why it's happening is because we are now well traveled. It's much easier to go to Japan, to Thailand, to different countries, even to Europe.
Yes.
So the trend now, many years ago, the wine is just for people who know, like the collectors, the fine gentlemen.
Or that can afford, of course.
Who can afford, from the Buena Familia, you go buy them in a deli shop. But now, quality wines, you can find them almost everywhere, even in supermarkets.
Yeah, because I remember in my much younger years, you know, the wine that was available at that time, and please don't ask me how old I am or how young I am, but it was around the 500 to 1,000 peso mark. You know, of course, you want to impress your friends while you're dining or even hanging out in a club or in the bar scene, and you'd order a bottle of wine at 500 pesos. Obviously, that does not happen now in the retail scape or, of course, in the food outlets. Has that changed?
That has changed because also, well, we still have the premium wines, but we have the affordable ones that are high quality. Because now I think people are more accepting, you know, with wines, there are old world wines, which are European wines, and there are new world wines. Now people are more accepting. Before there was like a judgment that if you're drinking new world wines, because usually they're twist cap. When it comes to format, they say, it's not the real wine, or I want my wine
It's cheaper. The connotation is it's
but
less expensive.
in terms of functionality, it even like will preserve wine more because it's a twist cap.
So are you a twist cap aficionado?
I'm open to any wines, but I like New World. I like Chilean wines. I like South African wines. I like Australian wines.
Yes. What about trends, emerging trends?
Trends.
I mean, like, okay, Filipinos are used to, for example, red and white, those two varietals.
Yeah.
Those two types of wines. I wouldn't say varietals because that's already going down to the grapes.
Right.
But what about the introduction of, let's say, bio wine? Now there's non-alcoholic champagne. Rosé.
Rosé wines, yeah. In terms of the format, it used to be predominantly red wine. And I'm not sure we're a tropical country, but people like drinking cab sauves. But now people are more open into drinking sparkling, not just champagne, but sparkling. You have Prosecco, you have Cava, white wines, and rosé wines. Like people are, like even foreigners would wonder why we're not drinking rosé here, which is
'cause
now
it's
is
a warm
getting more
country,
popular.
yeah.
Rosé wine in Europe is a summer drink.
Like what they say, rosé all day.
Rosé
right?
all day. Yeah, it's perfect for brunch, for your apéro, for like for sunset. So that would be the trend. People are more open to different types of formats of wines. But the Gen Zs particularly, they like natural wines
Yes.
and they like zero alcohol wines because of their mindset. That
Is that the same as bio wine? Natural and bio.
natural wine is more encompassing.
Okay.
If you say natural wine, nothing is taken out, nothing is added.
Okay.
So basically, you don't filter the wines, you don't put additives, and it resonates with the Gen Zs because
Why is that a trend? Because is it healthier?
there's a perception that it's healthier, and then you care for the environment
Right.
because you don't harm the environment while processing it. In terms of the sustainability story,
Yeah.
the narrative, which appeals a lot with the younger people.
Yeah.
That I want to care for the environment, and the drink that I consume is not harming my body.
Right.
So-
I'm going to get right to it because there's big news around the world, especially with the U.S. Head of the health department, I
Yes.
would say, the Surgeon General or something like that. I stand to be corrected. But there is now apparently findings that alcohol consumption leads to, are carcinogenic
Yeah, leads to cancer.
or leads to cancer.
I read about that article.
What's your opinion on that?
My opinion is anything in moderation is okay because I also know that there's
Yeah.
a study that a glass of red wine is good for you because it's good for the heart. It has resveratrol. So I think you just don't abuse your body, and that's okay for me.
You know, Filipino, well, thank you so much for answering. I wanted to put it right in there because now we can go to the good stuff, the yummy stuff, right? Because I'm a wine person
Yes.
and, you know, I try to collect wine as much as I can afford to. How can you start a wine collection?
Oh, I think it really depends on your preference. You don't really have to follow trends, but buy the wine that you like because they say the best wine is the wine that you like. If you like red wine, you go and research what type of grapes do you like because Cab Sauv, Merlot, for example, are full-bodied wines. It depends on your preference. There are like lighter-bodied wines that are such as Pinot Noir, or if you're a white wine person, Sauv Blanc is a popular grape varietal. So I think go with that first. Which type of wine you like? Because if you collect, eventually you'll open it, of course. So don't go with a fad like, of course, I like this brand, I like this vintage. Some people are very particular with vintages. I get that because perhaps that's their birth year or their anniversary. But for me, as a everyday wine drinker, it doesn't really matter. Like the difference for me is very insignificant.
Yeah, what's the average cost of a decent wine? I mean, across the board, per bottle that you should be collecting?
Oh, for me, with JC Wines, our sweet spot is less than 1,000, like 900 pesos. You'll get really
Still
decent
available.
wines.
So talking about about that price point, so does that mean to say that you are giving more access to the general public when it comes to enjoying wine?
Definitely, because of the rise of e-commerce and social media. Now it's very accessible. You don't really have to go to the shop and get intimidated because of all the wines that you see and you cannot understand the labels. Now we're trying to educate them. It's accessible. They don't have to go out of their houses. Just one chat away, and we'll help them find the best wine for them. We'll
Right.
give it a
For
shot,
those
yeah.
people that are not finely tuned to bacchanalian pursuits, right? How should people look at which wine to purchase? Like, for example, some people are visual, they look at the label. It looks fancy, I'll
Right.
buy it.
Right.
Some people are price sensitive, I'll buy it because, you know,
Right.
this is my budget. Some people are more into the artsy,
Into the arts.
and then they like the label, and, you know, there's cool stuff drawn on the label.
Yeah. But
what was-
personally,
yeah.
because I like to eat, I go first with what is my dish or what is the food that I'm going to eat and what kind of wine will pair well with that.
Okay, let's talk. Let's move forward to that. Like, for example, you said adobo earlier. You know, our uncontested national dish, I would
Right.
say. I'm sure I'm gonna get backlash to that. But what would you pair with, let's say, an adobo or a sinigang?
A sinigang. Well, sinigang would be hard, personally, but adobo. Look at the profile of adobo. It's rich, it's kind of
Savory,
oily,
correct.
savory, salty. So you pair a wine that can match it. Perhaps a juicy red wine,
Yes.
can be, or to cut the rich
Which is what
would be a Gamay or Garnacha, a Pinot Noir for me, or even a Côte d'Iron from France, or it's a safe choice, a Champagne, because it cuts the richness
Correct.
of the dish.
Okay.
If you don't have a budget for Champagne, because Champagne can be like 4,000, 3,500, 4,000
least,
pesos,
yeah.
you can go with Prosecco, with Cava, with any sparkling wine. That will do the job.
I'm thinking with sinigang, I think a nice rosé.
A rosé can be, or a Riesling, for example, an
A Riesling,
aromatic.
correct.
Because sinigang is a sour, right?
Yes.
It's also rich, it's hearty.
Yes.
So you maybe like a wine that is refreshing.
What about other emerging restaurants? You're into the fine dining scene. How are people pairing wine with their food? If obviously you've got a sommelier in the more fine dining establishments, right? But if you don't have a sommelier, how do you
Like
pair
if I
wine?
choose it on my own.
Yeah, like a general wine that would go with your first three dishes, your salad or your your main and a
Yeah.
dessert. What would you recommend?
For me, choose a light and refreshing wine. So you'll
Okay.
never go wrong with something bubbly.
You're right.
It can be like your starter, or be a welcome drink, up to your appetizers, even to your salads, even to your small plates.
Okay.
Or a rosé is also refreshing.
Right.
But then the trend now, which I commend, the restaurants now offer wine pairing. So you don't need to choose. Each dish, for example, it's a 5-course tasting menu. Perhaps they'll give you 3 or 4 different kinds of wines
Yes.
that will pair well with the dishes. So you don't have to think. And it's a discovery. It's very much enjoyable for a consumer.
Do you think that you can only enjoy wine pairing at fine dining restaurants?
Definitely not. Even with upscale casual restaurants, as long as you...
I like that. Upscale casual restaurants.
upscale casual.
What does that mean to
Okay,
you?
there's a trend, and not actually a trend, but it's big in Europe. That there's even in France, most especially in France, there's a term as bistronomy. So
Bistronomy.
bistro
Bistro.
is a casual
Yes.
restaurant, fast. The tronomy part is gastronomy. So in this place, you'll find fast, casual dishes, but made in a gastronomic way, meaning it's chef-driven, it's plated well. You'll really enjoy the vision of the chef in terms of sourcing of ingredients, the flavor profile. It's well thought of. But then you don't have to have a dining experience that will last for 3 hours, because it's not a tasting menu. Usually it's
Right.
a la carte.
Yes.
So I think that's one trend.
Any favorites of this
That so-called bistronomy.
bistronomy?
Yeah, in the Philippines, it's really emerging. For example, Toyo now
Yes.
has their inato.
Yes.
For me personally, this is a bistronomy concept. Métis,
Yes.
these two restaurants are part of Asia's 50 Best. They have now Automat.
Yes.
And then even Hapag
Yes.
in Rockwell, they have in Aya. For me, these are bistronomy concepts because it caters to a different kind of segment of the market who likes fine food, refined experiences without really...
Without wearing the tie and jacket.
Right,
Yeah.
and without spending too much and not being tired there in the restaurant for 3 or 4 hours.
Yes. That's very interesting to me. But what about, aside from wine, there's a lot of emerging stuff like spirits.
Spirits, yeah.
And this is what I would call it couture spirits, because
agree.
they're not cheap. I mean,
Yes.
you're talking about some spirits worth 50,000 a pop, and some kids now they like to go to a club and they purchase these things. Like, let's say tequila is a big trend at the moment. I like tequila.
Yeah.
The vodkas. You're also talking about, of course, staple old friendly whiskey.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're gone to the days wherein you sit down and after dinner you have a cognac. So now your digestive can be a tequila.
A tequila.
Or even during dinner, like I would actually pair some of my dishes with tequila because it brings out the flavor. It does not necessarily have to be Mexican. So what are the trends in terms of spirits?
Yeah. But I just want to add,
Yes.
there's such thing like as a billionaire's vodka, which costs like $7 million. But people buy that because of experience. Like people now are well-traveled
Yes.
and they invest on experiences rather than material things.
I should have that behind you.
I think that's the
Bilyonaryo,
generation, especially the millennials. They invest on experiences.
Yes.
And then the big companies also have great marketing stories. Like, for example, there's a new wine brand by Beyonce.
Yes.
It's named after her great-grandfather. So it's a great marketing story. It's you have the influence of a celebrity. So I think that's the trend now.
All right, well, we're going to get back to that. We're going to take a quick break. Industry Beacon will be right back. Stay with us here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. And we're back. You're still watching Industry Beacon here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Still with us, JC Cailles Lo of JC Wines and Fine Dining Club Philippines. Before the break, JC, we're talking about spirits, right? So there's a trend that I noticed on social media wherein before, if you're a millionaire or billionaire, you got your jewelry and your bags. Then you go into hotels. After hotels, what do you get, right? Now, billionaires and celebrities are getting themselves into the art of wine and spirits. They're putting their names on it. Let's say Beyonce's husband obviously has got his
The Armand de
champagne.
Brignac.
Armand de Brignac. He sold it or bought it or both. And then, of course, you've got Brad Pitt and Angelina with their rosé wine.
The Miraval.
Miraval, yes. And then now the trend is tequila, right?
Tequila.
There, a lot of people, top chefs around the world, are putting their names on tequila. Pardon me. What's your take on this? Excuse me.
I think as long as they partner with a reputable winery or a company, then that's okay because it elevates the branding because they
Yes.
have the budget, they have the leverage
Yes.
to market it properly. Like, for example, I'm also selling, this is not spirits, but I just remember a perfect example. Donna Fogata, which is a very established winery, a family-owned winery in Italy, partner with Dolce & Gabbana
Oh,
for
cool.
Dolce & Gabbana wines, which are high quality. These are backed with a tradition in winemaking, but they have the brand equity of Dolce & Gabbana.
Right.
So that works.
Yes, and big companies, big distillers are also getting their hands on boutique brands and making them global, like tequilas, like I would say, like Volcan, which
Volcan
is
from
backed up by LVMH.
LVMH was a big company.
Yes, and these things are not inexpensive. They're quite pricey. So gone are the days when you have a certain tequila brand that was really popular here in the Philippines. Now you're going into the 10,000 peso a bottle retail price. And if you go to a club, or a bar, you can spend easily 20,000 on a bottle of tequila, all the way up to 500,000 pesos.
Correct.
So what's driving this trend?
I think the consumer behavior is also being more sophisticated because the tequila before that we know while we were partying, you shot it, right? Until you get wasted. But now tequilas are meant to be sipped. They are sipping tequilas for you to appreciate the notes, for you to appreciate how well made this tequila is. So I think it's a factor that the consumer trend, they're really investing on experiences rather than being socially fun.
If you were to celebrity brand a liqueur in the Philippines, what would it be to make it global?
To make it global, I already know one.
Yes.
I think I need to nominate this. We have an ube liquor.
Ube liquor.
Because ube is very much associated with Philippines. I think in the US, ube is fairly known. But the ube liquor, imagine a Baileys. It's creamy, but then with a touch of ube. That would be amazing. It's a perfect addition to any cocktail if you want it. Like a halo-halo, for example, a halo-halo cocktail with that ube liquor will be perfect.
Do you think that would trend?
The trend,
think?
Could be if you push for it. But I think the trend now is really to go global, but backed by it should not be too mainstream the way you produce it. It should be family-owned, small production.
What about bootleg spirits?
What do you mean bootleg?
The Philippine. Like for example, you've got the spirits made out of coconut, lambanog, stuff like that.
I advocate for that because I think we need to have more exposure when it comes to our tapoy, for example, a rice wine.
Yes.
Lambanog, we can go global because lambanog that we know is just for communities, people in the barangays.
Yes.
But we have well-made lambanogs now that can really rival international brands.
Yes, because I would liken that to a vodka, a Philippine vodka.
And a spirit brand or a format that is uniquely ours.
Yes.
That can be if Mexico will have their tequila, we have our lambanog.
Yes,
I hope
but
that
we've
will
got
come
one
in time.
particular spirit that's made it globally, which is rum. I
Yes.
mean, not a lot of people know that, but you know, we're a rum-producing country. Back in the day when the Spanish came
Right,
on.
because we have a lot of sugar canes here.
Exactly,
And then some of our brands made it internationally and was bought by an international company too.
Exactly. If you were to choose one boutique spirit company here that's going to make it to the global stage, what would it be? The next one, after that rum brand. Aside from Ube.
Aside from the ube one, I don't want to name brands, but I want a particular lambanog brand. You're right, a lambanog brand, because it represents us. It's coconut and it's very versatile because it's distilled. It can be like your vodka.
Yes.
So I like lambanog.
Do you think the Philippines now is a focus in the global wine market? Do you think we're emerging or developing fast in the region?
I think so,
Southeast Asia.
because now it's getting more and more accessible, and we are very open to trends. I think that's the beauty here in the Philippines. We are open to what's new out there, and we're adapting it.
Yes.
That's why there's a rise of natural wines, of
Correct.
zero alcohol wines,
Yes.
even to cater to the Gen Zs.
Yes. Last question, JC. What is your biggest mistake?
My biggest mistake, maybe I drank too much during the during the pandemic. I am regretting it now.
I don't think that's a mistake. It may be salvation.
Could be.
Thank you so much, JC. And that is it for today's show. I'm Ferdi Salvador. Catch the Bilyonaryo News channel on Free TV Channel 31 and on cable via Cignal Channel 24. Thank you for watching the Bilyonaryo News channel. Always on top.